Okay, so now that we've gotten all this other stuff kind of squared away, there's still a few things I'm not crazy about, but we'll go back to those. Let's deal with the submit button. So the submit button is uh, way too wide. It does not need to be as big as all the others. And the other thing is that I think I might like for the word submit to be in all uppercase. I definitely like for it to be a much brighter color. Yeah, let's just start with some of those issues. Let's jump back over here. Here, we'll scoot this over, and we'll come back over here. We'll move this over a little bit so we can kind of see what we've got on this page. Okay. So, and one of the things I think I'd like to do is I think I'd like to put a minimum width on here so you can start to see it's not really breaking down too badly. Yeah, let's put a min width on, or excuse me, yeah, min width on the form. There's a form tag up here. So let's do min width, and let's just make it like 50 instead of 60. And if we do min width, then that means that oh, actually, I'm sorry. Let's do width 60, and then after that we'll do a min width in pixels. Let's do it. Let's see what 500 pixels looks like for right now. Let's save that, refresh. And I think that that's our minimum right there. So maybe we can do a minimum of 400. Let's see how that looks. I think 400 might be a good minimum width. You could go as low as 320. Since 320 is like an old iPhone size, that's pretty darn small. I think we'll stick with 400. Okay, let's do that. Let's say, and then that way we can just sort of scoot this over and not have to worry about it constantly resizing in a weird way, and we can have our cake and eat it too, so to speak. All right, so if I look down here at the submit button, now it doesn't look as bad because it's a much smaller button, but it would get bigger on a larger screen. So let's go back down and let's find that submit information. And it's, keep going, I think. Right about here. Yeah, right here. So right now what we've got is we've got this background image, and that's fine. It's totally fine to leave that background image the way it is. It looks good, it's working, and we don't ever have to worry about autofill on submit. So we'll just leave that as is. So one thing we can do, I mentioned I wanted it uppercase. Let's do text transform so that it has a little bit more, I guess, presence. And we'll do uppercase like this, and save it. We can hit refresh. That looks better already. We can also give it a different background color, which would be up here. And I'm going to suggest that we do a quick edit, and let's do something that's like a really, like a bright blue. We can kind of fool around in here. And I think that that one's pretty good right there. So let's go ahead and commit to that. And let's save. Let's come over here, refresh. Holy mackerel. That's a good color. I like that color in combination with this other blue. However, I think the color of the text needs to be different. So let's change that. Let's go color. We'll make the color white. And we should also maybe give it a border that is white. So let's do 1 pixel solid as FFF. Let's go over here, and that might be a little bit better. And then we could also change it so that the image, I have another image that is the reversal of this, it's white, and it's, I can tell you right now without you even having to look, it's the submit number 2. And if I hover over that, that's what it looks like. So let's just save that, hit refresh, and see how that looks. And that's probably pretty nice. All right, now the other thing that I would like to do with this submit button is I think I'd like to do a width on it. Let's just see what happens. I might end up doing a min width or a max width, but let's see what like 200 pixels looks like. Save it. And that's not too bad. And we can also see, like, what does it look like at 100? Let's see, save that, hit refresh. It's way too small. Okay, so let's say if we do, let's see what happens at 150. And that's a pretty good size. And I think that works out pretty well. Now, the other thing that we could do is give it a hover state. So let's just do this. Let's copy that, and we'll come right down below it, and we'll do :hover at the end. All right, and the things that I want to do, I would want to change the background image. I don't want to change anything else about it. Except maybe the color of the text, possibly, I'm not sure. So let's just copy this and we'll change the background image and we'll change the background color. So let's do this where when we hover it, it goes to just the regular submit button. And let's find a different color than this blue. Okay, so I'm gonna quick edit that and let's do something that's like in this sort of oranger range. And I think this color might be okay. It's kind of like this. It might be a little bit more saturated, but let's just see what that looks like. And I also want to change the text color, because if it's that bright orange, then I think we need the color of the text to go probably to black or close to it. Let's just try that on the hover state. Let's hit refresh. And then when we get to hover, whoa, okay. It's I think we also need the background size because I don't have background size here and I've just changed out the image. I think I have to copy this background size and I think that should work fine. Let's save that. Let's come back, refresh. And yeah, that was the problem. So, all right, so I think I like that color actually, and it's a little more saturated than this one up here. So I think I might actually want to change these labels to match this color right here. I think that might actually be good. Let's copy that and let's go find the label right here. Oh, okay. Oh, actually, no, I'm sorry, not label. It was legend. I'm thinking L. Okay, it's that legend, not label. Okay, let's change the background to a slightly more saturated version of that. Save that, hit refresh. I think that's good. The other thing about the label is that on larger screens, I think it was kind of bothering me that I had it going so wide. While we're here, let's take a look and see what happens. Yeah, that gets really, really wide on a large screen. I think maybe it might be good to do something where it goes, let's just try like maybe the width is 60%. Let's do something like 60. Yeah, let's save that. And yeah, let's try that. And we'll go hit refresh. Yeah, I think that looks a lot nicer. And then if we get small again, we need to make sure, see, and it's doing 60% again. So I don't know that I want it to double stack like that. So what we could do is we could give it a minimum width. We could give each one of these a minimum width. So let's take a look at this. And the way that we can discover what the width of this is, I think that might be a good minimum width wherever that is we can go down here and see how much space this is occupying. So maybe 250 pixels is a good min width. And I know that because our form won't ever be smaller than 400, then I think that the 250 should be safe. So we can say min width, like after we declare the 60%. So it'll be 60% until it gets as small as 250 pixels, and then it won't get any smaller. So let's save that. And let's do a test and let's refresh. And that's exactly what I was hoping to see. And it still looks good in the smaller state. I think that's fine. And then on a larger screen, it still looks good. Okay, so that actually makes me a little bit happier that looks better. And then we've got the submit button. The problem is the submit button needs to be centered, I think, because everything else so far is centered. So let's do that. Let's work on centering that. Let's take a look up here and see what we've got. There's a couple of ways that we could do this. One is that this is a block level element, or I mean, we can make it a block level element. Sorry about that. It's just right now it's just a submit button. So we could make it block, and we could, you know, do auto margins. That's one option. So let's just go up here and let's just say display. Oops, gotta spell it right. Display as block, right? And then we can say margin auto like that. Save it, refresh it, and then it goes ahead and it centers it for us. And that's nice. I think that that's probably fine. But if you wanted to have some kind of interesting little detail behind it, what we could do is we'd need to wrap it in something. One of the things you'll notice that I put in this images folder is there's this thing called the divider, and it's just a little thing that I made that can go behind the submit button. That's kind of it's really intended to just sort of act as a finale so that the submit button sits on top of it. But that means that, as I said, it has to go inside of a wrapper. So let's take a look at how that might manifest itself. All right, so it's jumping over here. Let's go look at the HTML, scroll down and find our submit. Our submit is actually down here in this paragraph. And we've got the label, right? And then we have the submit. And if you remember, this label is being hidden. For ADA purposes, it has to be there technically, but it's being hidden because visually it's confusing to see submit and then submit again. So that's being hidden. So this is the button that's existing right there, the one that I'm highlighting, but this paragraph tag would be the wrapper. And so if we make that divider the background image of this paragraph, and the paragraph can be like the wrapping device. Let's just give it a class though, and let's just call the class, I don't know, like decorative, because that's exactly what it is. It doesn't like serve any purpose, this class, other than just being decorative. All right, so we'll save that. Make sure you save the HTML, otherwise your CSS will not take effect. So, and then we'll come down where we've got the input submit stuff, and it's about right here. Yeah. Actually, we're making a special class, and I created something down here at the bottom for special classes. So let's just add it at the very bottom, and let's just call it decorative. And we're going to do a background, and we're going to do a URL. It doesn't need a background color, so let's go find the images. We'll find this divider.png. It's not going to repeat, so we're going to say no repeat. And we want to see what it looks like centered, so we'll say center. And that'll center it left and right, and then we can say center again. That'll center it up and down. Let's just try that. And the other thing too is that we want to give it a background size. Background size. And if we say contain, that will be the same as saying that it's 100%. We could go ahead and leave it at that. Say that. Let's save it. And let's go see what that looks like. Hit refresh. And it put it there, but it didn't really center it vertically. So let's see what happens if instead of contain, I just say 100%. Let's try that and see if it makes a difference. It shouldn't technically, and it didn't. All right, so what I need to do then is I need to adjust this where it says center. The first center is left and right, so that's fine. And the second center is up and down. So let's see if technically, let's see if it were 50%, save that, refresh it. Let's see what that looks like. It barely moved. Let's see what happens if we do it at 60%, save that, refresh. And it's moving down. I think it might be around 65% that it needs to be. Save it again. Yeah, and I think that that looks pretty centered. You could try a little bit more, like maybe 68% or something. That might be closer to the absolute center. And so we can leave it at that, and I think I'm pretty happy with the way that that looks, right? And then as you expand it out, it kind of looks nice. It's got this final looking feel. You don't have to have that background image, but I think that it helps kind of like complete the end of the form. One other thing is that, you know, this wouldn't really go on, I don't think, a page that would be bright white in the background. The other thing that I'm having problems with is that, you know, like these things are all stacked a little close together. Some of these like fine tuning details, we might need to adjust the line height. Maybe these could be a little bit bolder where, you know, it's like saying choose all that apply, you must be 18 or older, that kind of stuff. And also I think it might be nice to have a different color or something for the labels. So in the next video, we're going to do all those little fine tuning things and clean this form up and get it ready for prime time.